Hey everybody, welcome back to Electric Cafe. This video is an album review on Frontline Assembly's 1989 album, which is called Gashed Senses in Crossfire. This is actually the CD version, the later double release where you get Caustic Grip, kind of a 2-for-1 Caustic Grip and Gashed Senses in Crossfire. So you get a nice double album there, so a nice package there. This came out in 1989. I knew a couple songs. I think I originally got this probably sometime in the. Well, I think this came out in. This double CD came out probably in 2000, maybe 10 or so. I knew a few songs on this album even before that from like the Reclamation compilation, and then I've had. I've had the single for No Limit, the single for that for quite a few years on vinyl, and I have that in the other room. And but when I was playing this album, I was a little bit surprised. I do like this album better than Caustic Grip. And I'll tell you the differences between the two. Caustic Grip is the first Frontline Assembly album that I reviewed for the channel. I gave it a 63 out of 100. I thought it was a good album for sure, but this one I like better, and the reasons are the Caustic Grip has a lot of like 9 or 10 5 to 6 minute songs on there, and there's a lot of good songs on there for sure. Probably on the more dancey side, like more as like the main songs. There's probably a little bit more better songs, more of them on Caustic Grip than Gashed Senses and Crossfire. But as far as like the range of songs on here, the flow of the album, this album is much better. Like you take the first couple tracks, No Limit, Antisocial, those are pretty straightforward Frontline Assembly tracks. Definitely in my opinion, in the higher quality of the more straightforward songs that they do. And then it goes into Hypocrisy, Shutdown, and Prayer, and those are kind of like mellow. Some sort of don't have a full dance beat, and some are a little bit more melodic and a little bit more eerie. Certainly Prayer and Shutdown is a little bit more eerie. And then it goes right into Digital Tension, Dementia, which is one of their standout early songs. And then it takes a little bit of lull, and the next two songs aren't that great. Or aren't as good as the other ones, I should say. And then it ends pretty strong with the last two tracks. So, I mean, I do like the flow of this album a lot better. It's an album that you can put on and play, versus a lot of the Frontline Assembly albums. They kind of feel like compilations a lot of times, sometimes, because there's or dance compilations, because there's just like 10 6-minute songs, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I rather prefer. Actually, I like both, because that way I can DJ with the longer ones. And I do like the dancing ones too as well. But as far as like listening to an album that flows, I think I tend to like one that's got a little bit more depth and a little bit more variation and sort of flows better. And I think this album flows better than Caustic Grip. My favorite songs are No Limit, Antisocial, and Digital Dimension on here. It's a good mix. Again, a better flow. I like how the lyrics are more in the cut than standing out. It seems like they're really kind of blended into the music a lot better, which is a lot like the Frontline Assembly of the earlier days. It's not so maybe pronounced, and I do like Bill Leeb singing in this track in this album a lot. The first track, there's 10 tracks on here. First track, No Limits. It's one of my favorite early Frontline Assembly tracks. I think the beat's sick. Melody is really cool. It's futuristic. The vocals are in good place. I got it 4 stars. The Antisocial is really strong too, 3.25 stars. The underlying bass note really makes the rhythm cool for me. I like his voice in the verses. Nice rhythm overall. 3.25 stars. Hypocrisy and Shutdown, both of them are 3 stars. Dramatic, melodic, cool. Prayer is interesting, but it doesn't get to the heights of Shutdown and Hypocrisy for me. But it's an interesting song, and definitely a change of pace and a good balance for the middle of the album. I gave it 2 stars. Digital Tension Dementia, one of their best early beats as far as I'm concerned. Melody as well, 3.5 stars. Big Money is my least favorite song on the album. It's good, but it's kind of dated. The war samples, like, and that's kind of the thing with the early '80s, is kind of like, I don't know, kind of, there's a lot of like war samples in industrial music, and sometimes it kind of comes off kind of like, you know, I get it, it's industrial music, but not all the times it goes off that well. Like Front G42 do a better job of that than Frontline Assembly in my opinion. They just do a little bit. They don't go overboard. Like on this track, Big Money is just it's very sample heavy, and there's a lot of it going in the background, and it just sounds a little dated. I give it 1.5 stars. Bloodsport I like better. It's 2.5 stars. I appreciate the more techno direction in the song. I like the melody in the last minute or so. 2.5 stars. And then the last 2 tracks, Fool's Game and Sedation, I both gave 3 stars. Fool's Game is kind of Cabaret Voltaire-like. Really good melody, and Sedation kind of has an experimental rhythm / groove, which is a cool ending for the album. Again, the album flows really well. I added up the stars. 28.75 stars divided by 10 is a 2.87, which correlates to about a 68 on my album score. I gave it a few extra points for just the overall flow of the album, and I just think it's a much more cohesive album, and yeah, it's been a few years since I listened to this album, because but it's when I got to compare it next to Caustic Grip, because it's I have it on the same CD. It just flows a lot better. I gave it a couple extra points. I like the production on it as well. There's really nothing glaring or nothing really bad about the album at all. I mean, I got one track that I don't think is good on the whole album. Other than that, I think it's a very good album. I give it a 72 out of 100. So far, that's out of the 2 Frontline Assembly albums. That's the highest I've given so far, 72 out of 100. Again, I gave Caustic Grip 63. I'm probably going to review either Tactical Neural Implant or Millennium next, one of those 2, and then probably do Total Terror, go back to their first album after that. But yeah, that's my overall thoughts on Frontline Assembly's Gashed Senses and Crossfire. 72 out of 100. Alright, thanks so much.